Hello, this is Stacy Thomas, UR14CS002, explaining exercise 6, JavaScript timer functions and objects. For the first part, I'm going to explain a digital clock, which shows the hours, minutes, and seconds. Now, as you can see, the seconds are changing. So I will explain the code now. First, I create under the script tag, I create a display function which takes in a date using an object, and then I'm using the object to make a new date, and I use d.getHours, .getMinutes, and .getSeconds and I stored it in HMNS to display the hours, minutes, and seconds. And I use the text. This is an ID that I've created, and I use this text to display it over here in this ID, where this ID is. So I use the set interval. This is used to call the display function every 1 second. So that's why when you look at this is being called for 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds. The next one, I'm going to change the background color. So for this, I have my red, blue, and green values. So I'm going to use a random generator, and within the range of 0 to 255, I'm going to have a value for each of red, blue, and green, and I'm going to store it in those variables. So the gradients from 0 to 255, each color is going to pull out a different random color, and it's going to be stored in these 3 variables, and these 3 are going to be added and put into color, and the background is going to be this color that's been added up. So how the code for that is document.body.style.background, since we're changing the background color and we're setting it equal to that color. And this is I'm used the set interval, so it's going to be called every 2 seconds. So as you can see, it's one color now. After 2 seconds, it changes to another color. 2 seconds again, it changes. It keeps changing for every 2 seconds. For the next part, I'm gonna change a paragraph while I bring the mouse over the text. It's going to increase its size, and when I leave the mouse and I put the mouse away from the text, it's going to decrease the size. So I put the paragraph under a paragraph ID para1, and on mouse it's going to call the function increase size for the para1 ID, and it's going to change the font size to 28 pixels. And when I leave the mouse away from the text, it's going to change the size back to 10 pixels. And this is done using the .getElementById, and I've used the ID tag for where my text is being stored. The output for this is, see, when I put the cursor on the text, it just increased to 28 pixels, and when I take it away, it decreased to 10 pixels. The next one, I'm going to show an animated car. So for this, when I click on the start button, the car is going to start moving. And when I stop it, the car will stop at the respective place, and it'll go back to the initial position. For this, I've used the function init, and this is all used done on body onload. When the body loads, all these functions are called. So I'm taking my image, and I've named it my image, and I'm storing it into image object, and I've set the position, and I've set the position of it relative, and the starting point of it is 0 pixel. And then when I call on the move right function, it moves 10 pixels. Each time it'll move 10 pixels to the left. And then I've used, I have a variable animate and this animate variable will call the it'll move the card 10 pixels for every 200 milliseconds. So for every 200 milliseconds, after the set timeout is called, it'll move right for every 200 milliseconds. So this when the stop function is called, it'll clear the timeout and it'll go back, it'll clear the animate and it'll go back to the initial position, which is 0 pixel. So now when I press on the start, it'll move for every 200 milliseconds and for after the set timeout is called, and then it'll move 10 pixels to the right. And as it is moving to the right, as soon as I click the stop button, it'll go back to the initial position at 0 pixel. So it went back right now. For the next part, I'm gonna use the concept of arrays and objects, and then I'm gonna display names, registration numbers using this concept. So for I've created an array variable object name, and I've created 2 of these for position 0 and 1. I have a name, registration number, and the year they were born. Similarly, I have a name, registration, and a year. So for each of these, I've used a for loop, and I'm gonna iterate through these. So for I is equal to 0 at position 0, I want the name of the person, and then I want the registration number. All of this is done using object name, which is the object of this type. And then I've set a condition if the object name at position I dot year, if that is less than 2000, I want the names of those people who are less than 2000 and who were born before the year 2000, and I want the names of the people who were born after the year 2000. I want to display those values. Now this is only written once, but since I've used the concept of arrays for position 0 and 1, it'll iterate as I've given I++. So after the end of this else statement, it'll go back to the top and it'll execute for when I is equal to 1. So over here, Adam is born after the year 2002, and as you can see, John is born before the year before 2000. So I've given I have John's registration number, John's and Adam's registration number, and their names given, and then I have the people born before 2000, which is John, and then the people born after 2000, which is Adam. And this is the end of experiment number 6.